what happened to me is I ended up in a horrific explosion. Yeah. So ended up in a massive accident, exploded, like 40% of my body was burnt severely. And I was in ICU. I ended up in the burns unit in Concord Hospital. So it's a very special burns unit there. Having that accident and going through that actual accident was firstly the biggest shock. Secondly, just when it happened, just everything about it. I drove myself to hospital when it happened, blew up, put the fire out, drove myself to hospital, 20-minute drive, up, over. I actually wanted to get pulled over by police. That was my aim because it was the only way for me to get to hospital quick. I'll just throw me in the back and fuck it, I'll explain it. No way to explain it, but yeah, that's it. But, get me there. So, man, this was like peak hour traffic, 9 a.m., people going to school. I'm up, over, gutters, through red lights, getting to Liverpool Hospital. I jump into Liverpool Hospital and the whole team, like first it was the nurse in triage, put her head up and looked at me and went, I saw her face drop. And I was like, fuck, it must be bad. It was bad because I looked down and I just had skin hanging off my arms, off my legs. I had no shirt on. It was blown to smithereens. It was a mess. So anyway, they just went bang, hit the panic button. Everyone ran out, grabbed me, put me inside. So that moment was firstly shock, the realization of where I am. Then it was me going into surgery. Surgery, going through there, I was just like, I was freaking out. I didn't know what was happening, And then I had a doctor tell me like, oh my God, this is bad. Like I heard him saying like, this guy might not make it. Like, and I was like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And I started thinking about different things like where, how, what, like it can't happen like that. What have I done? What have I actually achieved? Going in, I was blessed that day, man. Everything was a blessing. I had the head, like one of the heads in the world from Austria here doing a conference in the burns unit. So literally, he jumped up when they said, we've got a serious one here. He jumped up and said, I'll do it. He came in and performed the operation on me. So that was crazy. So they put me after everything, they put me in, I was wrapped like a mummy for ages, and they put me in this bed, right? And I was stubborn. I was like, I would not take meds because being who I am and being so stubborn and saying like, I wouldn't take Panadol, right? Because when I made a choice to be like, I'm not taking any drugs, I'm not taking any alcohol again, when I made that choice years ago, that was it. I'm a living, breathing example of the person I want to be and the person I want other people to be. So I'm not doing it. They told me that if I didn't take meds, that I could die because your heart cannot take the pain. You can imagine 40% of your body burnt to smithereens. You're fucked, yeah? So I was like stubborn, wouldn't do it. One night, I'm lying there in bed, I'm just lying there, and I felt, bang, I literally laid back, and I was like, gone. I just felt myself go back like this. And I look in that minute, I look up, and I look at the door. I'm like, is that for real? I'm looking, it's Jesus Christ. I'm looking like, is that Jesus? Okay, that's Jesus. I look above me like this, and above me was this huge figure of Mary with her arms open. There's a special icon in Orthodoxy that has her with her arms open like this, above my head. In that moment, I look and I'm standing. My spirit has left my body, and it's standing over there watching me in the bed. Now, this is all happening in another dimension. I'm like, what is going on here? I feel my soul leave my body. It's looking at me. I'm looking at my soul. I'm looking at Jesus. I'm looking at Mary. They're all looking at me. And there's not a word. There's not a word being spoken. I'm looking at that moment and I'm like, this is it. Like, I am actually going. I'm done. And it's so funny because, not funny, it's a serious thing. But I remember I'm speaking to them, but I'm not saying anything. I had received, like, I'm talking like I spoke to them for 10 years. That's how much information I received in a minute. without one word being spoken. It was the most unbelievable experience of my life. And I remember just saying, like literally saying without saying, because I couldn't talk. I was numb. It's like you can't even speak to them. You know what I mean? You're not worthy to speak to them. And I remember in my thoughts saying, just leave me, please. Let me prove that I can be a great father to my kids. My kids actually need me. And I remember saying that, and like literally in the next second, I seen everything come back. Everything. My body just went bang, like my soul just literally that was watching me, which is the craziest thing ever. I know it sounds wild, but it is. It just came back to my body, and I was just like bang. I was just awake, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm looking around, and I'm like, did that just happen? And it's like, it happened. I was religious, and I grew up in an Orthodox household, and everything's very religious. But this kind of really just cemented everything. It was something that I needed to live, and I'm so blessed because knowing that I could have gone in that moment and that I should have gone, and being blessed like to be back here and be with my family and do everything that I'm doing, and just be on my path gave me now that insight to what I needed to do in life, how to fulfill that circle. At least try our best. We always got to strive. I know we slip away, and it's great to have a wife to remind you to pull your head back in. That's amazing, because you're blessed with that as well. So I walked out without a scar on my body. Like, explain that. Most people, like, if I show you the photos of me, I was mummified. They didn't know how it was going to turn out. Like, literally, you could be okay, but you could be kind of like the melted man, yeah? So we didn't know the outcome. I came out without one mark on my body. Like, how do you explain that? Like, literally touched by the Lord. I was like, my God, that's the only thing I put it down to. There's no other way. How do you walk away from that being so burnt? Like, literally, you're going to be scarred. To walk away, to not even have to be skin grafted, to not even, because I was saying, no, you're going to get skin grafted. There's no other way out of this. We've saved your life. You're here. You have to get grafts. Like, there's no way. It's really, horrendous burns. And it's like, from that to coming back to without a scar on my body, I'm like, brother, if that's not real, what is?